back in the day, what they used to do, everything was on paper. So we had all the quotes, all the project files. We had a big archive. So I thought, right, I'm just going to get myself in there, immerse myself in there, get all these files out, see who we used to deal with, get the content and just ring them.
Yeah.
And then see what we can get off the back of it. And in about 6 months, we got it to the level that I needed to be at. Yeah. And I priced a project for a client, still do work for him now, and it was 350 grand. He rings me just before Christmas it was, and he goes, that job you've priced 350, you've won it. So my first thought was mint. The next thought was, how am I going to fund this? The M&E stuff as well. A lot of the time you're seeing tenders come in, there's a lot of contractor design. The standard of stuff you're getting sent has gone massively by people to save money. They're trying to amalgamate roles because you've got a designer who's not a trained QS as such, or they're not skilled to evaluate tenders, but then they're being left to do that. Kind of just thinking, well, I'm wasting my time pricing projects for yourself. I look at companies' accounts, me, sadly, and they'll get to like 100 million and they got like 2% net, and I'm like, you've gone through all that mive for that. I'd rather not, do you know what I mean? If you'd have come to me and said like 4 years ago, oh, you're going to be working like Hollywood Bowl or JD Gyms or Grosvenor Casinos or Monterex or Archie's, I'd have been like, never. But we have, and we do deliver on time, because we have like 3 sort of key values. One of them's to make it as pain-free as possible for the client. Basically, we give you keys at start and get it back off at the end and it's done. They want to pay a fair price and they want a good job. You master them 3 things, I think you're better than 90% of the people out there. Actually, I'd rather lose a job than take a risk on the quality, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Your name's everything, innit?
Jonathan or John, which one should we go for today?
I've been called worse, so
yeah. I'll go John. Shorter, sweeter. Mate, thanks for taking the trip down. Thanks for coming down here. It's been a long time coming, this one. We've been trying to get this one in the diary for bloody months. But mate, thanks for coming down. Looking forward to diving into all things construction today. But I always like to start sort of at the start, mate. If you want to let us know just your journey into construction and where it started for you.
Yeah, mine started really. Went to college 16 to 18. Didn't really have a plan. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I just did business studies and IT. Yeah. And I had to resit my English as well because I didn't pass that. And then didn't really try that much in college. Come out with, I got my English C, which was GCSE, and then I got I think it was a D and an E in A-levels or something like that. So didn't do particularly well. And then a lot of my friends had gone into construction, and he was earning sort of decent-ish money for 18-year-olds. You could see his bit of progression route, but at the same time as well, you could see the bit of a laugh they was having on site and what have you. So I thought, it looks all right, this. Couldn't actually get a job in construction. So I managed to get a job in a builder's merchant, which was Travis Perkins.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It was brilliant, actually, because what it was a trainee managers programme. So over 2 years, they showed you all aspects of the branch.
Oh, cool.
But at 18-year-old, I had a title of trainee manager. So I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, because I had this manager title, if you will. And then for the first 3 months, first 4 months, September to December, I was in the yard sweeping and loading vans. But as you can imagine, in Oldham, because that's where my first assignment was, it never stops raining.
No.
And it's freezing. So you're there just for 4 months getting absolutely drenched. But you're learning all sorts, because you're handling materials. So you're learning like different types of plasterboards, different plasters, beads, timbers, sheets and all the rest of it. You learn how to speak to people. You learn how to speak to different people as well, which I found were key, that you might get a labourer who's coming in trying to just get a few bags of cement, or you might get a quite well-to-do family looking at flags for the garden. So you've got to learn to speak to different people, and that's stood me in good stead today, that.
How was it how was it on the flip side, like working in the merchants and trying to deal with contractors, because or builders or whoever it was, because like you said, you've dealt with loads of different people there.
Yep.
But like there's a certain way that us as contractors and builders or whoever we are, ring up the merchants, and we can be quite demanding. We're like, need this. Can you deliver it then? So like, what was it like on the flip side?
I suppose that come into, I didn't really answer the phone until probably month 5. So I was more confident. Obviously, if I had gone in there on day 1 and they'd have been ringing up and saying, I want a bag of this or a bag of that, I'd have been like, what the hell's this? So it was good that I did that first, then went into the shop to answer sort of questions, or to deal with clients on the phone and what have you. The people are quite demanding, but you always try and say, you always try and help people out and do them a favour, and especially the good customers as well. You might try and push them in front of other people if they're sort of repeat client and what have you.
Is that what they do, mate? Because I always think that as well, because like whenever I can sometimes be quite demanding when I want something quickly. It might be because I balled someone up and forgot to order something. I'm like, come on, mate, just get it down there for me.
Of course it does.
Come on, mate, just get it down there quickly for me. But it's what I always think as well is for like, there's new people that start at the merchants. Yep. So we use like CCF quite a lot.
Yep.
And I'm always like super patient with the new people because I just think there's so much for them to learn. If they're banging the phones straight away and people are like, can I have 10, 15 mil file line board? Can I have think out angle? Can I have plaster? Can I have this? Can I have that? They must just be like rabbit in headlights. Oh, yeah, sure. And they don't even know what it is. And they're trying to work it out. And then if you get a misdelivery of something. So I always feel for them when they first started in the merchants.
I made loads of mistakes. Yeah. Loads. And it was just little things like, you might call a certain product down here something different to me. Yeah. And it was getting used to all the different measures like the 3/8 and things like that, or 9 mil or whatever everyone else were calling it. Yeah. So yeah, it was, and the amount of deliveries I sent out wrong was unbelievable at the start.
And loads. Now you're on the flip side, you know that, and how annoying is it when a delivery comes out wrong?
I know. Dodge your head in. But going back to your question a minute ago, when you said do the merchants actually prioritise people, 100%. So like, if you dealt with a merchant you've not dealt with before, you might get a call, oh, the van broke's down or whatever else, it'll be tomorrow now. It probably hasn't. They've just prioritised somebody else.
Oh, I'm going to tell them that next time. When I get that quite a bit. I might say it next time. Like, I know you're lying. In fact, I spoke to someone the other day who worked at a merchant.
I have that all the time to upgrade the fleet.
So how long did it last at Travis Perkins?
2 years. And the reason why I left there was because I loved the company. I thought the programme, which is a shame because they don't do it anymore, but I learned loads off it. And then I went to Jewson's, which is another builder's merchant. And the reason I went there is because there was an opportunity for me to sort of get into a senior role within the branch pretty quick at, what would I have been, 20?
That's young,
about
isn't it?
20-year-old, yeah. So I went into senior sales at 20, which was pretty good. But the thing I liked about that is I've always been quite competitive, me. If I'm good at something, then I'm quite competitive. I'm not going to be competitive because I'm rubbish at it. And I found myself that I was quite good at the sales side of it. Yeah. So after month 1, I remember got into the branch manager and I've said to him, look, what was my sales? And I was 3rd out of 4 and it annoyed me. So then, because he knew I had an appetite to do more then, it kind of set up like a bit of an internal competition. So then every month he used to come out then and tell everyone what the sales figures were. Yeah. So it kind of prompted you to do more and get more sales or upsell and that kind of thing. So it was good.
Did that push you on then, did it?
Oh yeah. I was always top 2.
Yeah, you got to be.
Yeah, always. Me and a lad called Jason always went at it, but it could go down to like the last day. You could be necking because you might win that day before and say, what are my figures and what's his? Yeah. And it might be like neck and neck, and then you're like, oh shit, he's beating me by $1,000. And literally you could pick the phone up and it could be a $2,000 sale. And you're like, belt, I'm in front of him now. So yeah,
mate, good. It's good. It's good just in life in general. Just healthy competition. It always pushes you, doesn't it?
Oh, that's
further and further. Like I always think about the analogy of like I don't know if you're into football, but Messi and Ronaldo. Like I just look at them two and just think they would neither of them would be as good as they were if they didn't have each other pushing each other.
100%.
So true. So
who do you think's better?
You've got to bring that up because I always argue. I was in the barber shop the other day arguing with the barber about this. And are we talking over the whole career? Or are we talking like a specific moment? Like who was did you know what I mean? Like, because this is what I was arguing with
You'd
him
have
about.
to go all career because if you go year on year, then they're always going to be like Ronaldo would have won Ballon d'Or 1 year, so clearly he was the better, or Messi might have won it the next year.
But I am team Messi. I just am. Yeah, I'm team Messi. And
What team do you support?
I'm a Liverpool fan. Oh, I'm a obviously I'm a Scouser, as you can tell my accent.
I'm a United fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So obviously I'm probably biased towards Ronaldo. I'm probably biased towards Ronaldo.
Don't get me wrong. Like I was almost swayed towards the end of the career because Ronaldo seems like he had a bit more longevity, and I know he's playing where he's now in the Saudi league, but he's performed better in his later years, I think. 100%. But I think at their peaks, I think Messi was better than Ronaldo. Only my opinion. I had this argument for an hour the other day in the barbers. In fact, he wouldn't let me leave. He kept grabbing me back. So obviously Jewson's come to an end at some point. So how long did you last there and what did you get into after?
About 12 months.
Yeah.
And then I got, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this. How old are you? 29? 30. So in Manchester, they had a MEN, and on Thursday nights, it was a job section at Paper. And there was a job going for a trainee contracts manager. And it was a multidisciplinary company. They primarily did, well, they started off doing thermal insulation, but then they'd done more asbestos removal. And then they set up a construction division after the back of that as well. And the construction division really was ceilings and partitions predominantly. And the reason why is because obviously if you're pulling asbestos out, if it's pipework, you've then got to relag it, but then you've pulled out whatever was there beforehand, so you need a new ceiling to go back in. Yeah. So we did like a full cycle. And after about, how long was I there for? I was there for probably 2 years. After about 6 months, I was a training contracts manager there. And the gaffer who I got on with dead well come to me and said, look, the contracts manager you're learning off, I don't think he's pulling his weight. I'm going to get rid of him. Can you do his job? So I was like, of course I can. But, I'd done 6 months there, and I was on the insulation side, mate.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of like square metre rates, linear metre rates, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it was easy to price, if you will. And you're only looking at really one trade rather than what we do now is multidisciplined.
So were you kind of like, you were estimating, but you were...
Oh, I did the full, you had to do the full lot. So you had to bring the work in.
Yeah.
You had to estimate it, run it.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind as well, I was only, what was it at the time? 21, 22, something like that. And I was running 30 blocks on site. And obviously they all knew better than me as well, because I'm only...
How do you find that as well? Yeah, thinking about that. So how old were you then?
I was 21, 22.
And running blokes that, because, construction is an industry whereby the older you are, the more you know. And like, there's a bit of a hierarchy in there in construction, especially 100%. On a building site. And even in the office as well, like if you, like you, in your position you were in then, younger, don't know as much, trying to tell someone who knows what they're doing and talking about what to do, don't go down too hard sometimes, does it? No,
but then that's where I think I kind of knew my strengths and weaknesses. So my strengths were getting the work in and pricing it and winning jobs. I was quite good at that.
Yeah.
What I wasn't good at was the technical side of on-site side, because I'd never put a piece of insulation on in my life.
Yeah.
So when it come to that, I was kind of humble enough to speak to them and say to the lads on site, or the more senior ones, what do you think of this? How long is this going to take? That kind of thing. So I think they respected me from that angle just because I'd used them for the experience and they didn't mind sharing it.
That's a good way to look at it, because you do find a lot of younger people come in with a bit of chip on the shoulder and they're trying telling them what to do.
Oh, you can't.
Just get laughed at.
No.
You never be able to get on like
and
that.
What you found as well with them, with the laggers as you call them, they were all like 40, 50-year-old blokes. So there's no way you was telling them. Not a chance. Not a chance.
No chance.
So you had to sort of, it was good though, because obviously they'd done it for 20 odd years. So what they didn't know wasn't worth knowing.
Yeah,
so it's just good to have that knowledge there to pick into. But so he come to me, like I said, been there for 6 months. And I thought, I can do this. So I took his job on then. But the sales, he wanted to do basically about 100 grand a month. And at the time, we was doing about 30, 40. So it was miles off it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, right, how can I get this sales up to where we need to be now? And so back in the day, what they used to do, everything was on paper. So we had all the quotes, all the project files. We had a big archive. So I thought, right, I'm just going to get myself in there, immerse myself in there, get all these files out, see who we used to deal with, get the contact and just ring them. Yeah. And then see what we can get off the back of it. And in about 6 months, we got it to the level that I needed to be at.
You?
Yeah. Did,
Something to be said about
but
this.
then maintained it as well, though. Some months we were doing 200 grand. Yeah.
And were you driving that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hard work, though.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But you can imagine running 30 lads is a job in itself.
Yeah.
Ordering all the materials, doing all your own risk and methods, bringing the work in, QSing it, pricing it, running it, making sure the client's happy.
Imagine how much you learned, well, not imagine, but like you must have learned so much just generally in the industry, because you kind of turned around a bit of everything there.
That's it, exactly.
The whole lot, because they're all individually, they're all difficult roles as such as they are, but combined together, I bet sometimes you're on tip and edge, weren't you, sometimes, doing all of that. Like, Christ,
stressed out.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I had a book at home. I was on, like I said, 22. I had my first child as well then.
Yeah.
But I had a little book at home I used to keep on the fireplace.
Yeah.
And sometimes you sat there at night feeding baby and you thought, shit, I've not ordered this or I've not done that. And you'd write it down so when you go back in, then it was, because working from home then wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
You didn't have like your laptop connected to the server, all that sort of stuff. Well, I didn't anywhere.
Yeah. So you was writing it down.
Then got in the office next day and then sorted it all out. Stuff I remembered.
Brilliant, mate. So how long did that last at the installation company?
It lasted about 2 years. And then the guy who was running the construction division left and went to a fit-out company in Manchester.
Yeah.
And then he rang me up, and I'd had this promotion and been promised bonuses and all sorts, and I had a company car. So I'm thinking, I'm only, what was I? 20, 22. And I was only 30 grand a year, which then for 22, it was decent money, yeah. And then he rings me up and he's like, oh, because I got on with him dead well. Hey, Johnny, all right? So I said, yeah. He said, listen, he said, this company I've come to, because he'd been there for probably 6-7 months or something, he went, there's a job going for a contracts manager if you want it. I went, no. I said, I'm happy, mate. I've done this, I've done that. I'm keeping busy, had a promotion. And then he said, yeah, but you've not heard the money, have you? So I was like, no. He says, well, they're going to pay you $250 a day.
Yeah.
I'm 22. Car plus expenses. So I was like,
I'm there.
I went home and spoke to Mrs. and I was like, what do you reckon to this? And the money was insane.
That is nuts money for that age as well.
Oh, 100%. But I think it's probably because as well, he knew that if I didn't know something, I wasn't afraid to ask, and I'd make sure the job gets done. Do you know what I mean? That type of thing.
And
so you had a bit of trust in me.
Skilled people like yourself back at that age at 22, they didn't come around all the time, do they?
No.
Like if you think about all the 20-year-old people that you've dealt with in the industry, like how many of them are as skilled as what you might have been back then and were willing to do the extra work and, think proactively about things and trying to, push the business or drive it. So he's probably looking at it thinking like, yeah, he's a bit of a gold nugget, this one. We need to get him over it.
Possibly, yeah. I'm not going to pig myself.
Or he's felt sorry for you.
Yeah, that's it. Probably latter. So yeah, went there and it was good though. It was a small team. There was only 4 of us. It was a Birmingham-based company, but they had an office in Manchester, and that lasted about 12 months. And then the recession hit in 2008-9 was it? Yeah, that it. And I got laid off.
Oh no.
Yeah, got laid off. So
then what happened? Did you have to figure it out for yourself then? Is that when you started on your own, or did you? No.
No, I didn't know. I went working for a company in Oldham then, called NBC. And they did a lot of, I was there for I was 1 month shy of 10 years, which still annoys me now to this day. But I left for obvious reasons. But I'll get onto that in a minute. Yeah. But they did a lot of university work, and just, like I said, the recession just hit, and it was, it was a pretty bad time that. But then we just got in with the NHBC. And what we used to do was remedial works for them. And I don't mean like going fixing door handles for Mrs. McGee or something like that. There was like £1 million claims on apartment blocks and things like that. Like fire remedial works and a lot of it water ingress, render failing, that type of thing. So through the recession, for them a couple of years, we actually grew as a company through the recession. A lot to do with the university work, the school work that we're doing, and the NHBC remedial stuff. So I was there for 10 years, something like that. 1 month shy of 10 years.
Yeah.
So yeah. But again, I was doing the same, bringing my own work in, pricing it and running it. It's kind of self-sufficient, if you will.
They're rare. It's rare, but I know I say it again, but it's rare to find people like that who are self-sufficient, because nowadays
Tell me about it.
Yeah. Nowadays in our industry, you're either this or you're that. You're either estimator, and people want the top money to be this and that. There's not a lot of grey area in between where they do a bit of everything anymore. It's always this or that.
Well, this is the conversation me and Ollie, who's been a guest on your podcast previously, keep having, because within his business, he has got 2 or 3 people, because it's a family business, that can do all.
Yeah.
And then he's bringing other people in now. And it'd be interesting to see if it works or not, because obviously I think he's brought up a project manager in, they try to keep the estimating side of it.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how that kind of works.
But it's the same with us. We're family business, but we all do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Like I was speaking to the guest who came on earlier today. He was like, so what does your general week look like? And I was like do this for a day, I'm estimating for a day, then running a couple of jobs for a day, and then just doing whatever it takes. But it's a lot of ground in it. You learn so much as well.
100%.
It's so worth it. And you're probably similar, like just because of what you did then, I would come onto it, but what you do now with Concept, I imagine you started off by doing everything to start with.
Oh yeah. 100%, yeah.
So that company you worked out there for just shy of 10 years,
yeah.
If you're happy to dive into it, how did that come to an end and what happened after?
I think after about year 3, we could see that there was only me, the MD, and the accounts girl at the time. And the company were growing, and he was kind of happy with what I was doing, because he knew that he could trust me to deliver projects and get the work in as well. So I think after the end of year 3, he promised me, he said, oh look, we're going to start talking about shares and directorship for you. And then after year 9, it's still not materialised. Yeah. So I kind of sat there and I went seeing him, and he said, look, it's not the right time for this reason. And I respected that, but it was the right time for me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So yeah, I left then. But I actually didn't set up straight after that. I actually went working at Preferred. That's where I know Ollie from. Preferred Spaces.
Oh, okay.
That's so Ollie and his dad were working there.
Oh, were they?
So I did 12 months roughly with them two, yeah.
Yeah.
Working for his uncle.
Yeah. Okay. What were you doing there?
Same.
Just same, yeah.
Yeah, same. Mainly project managing. Priced a couple of jobs, but they had an estimator and a QS in there.
Yeah.
So it's mainly running projects. But yeah, it was a bit of a funny time, that one, I'll be honest with you, because I won't go too much into it, but
Sure.
I just didn't like his uncle.
Yeah.
Didn't like who I was working for, that type of thing.
Fair enough.
And then I left there and actually went working for another company. But what I did was, I actually set up at the same time as leaving.
Okay.
So for 12 months, I was working for somebody else full time and then also running my own jobs as well.
Just in your spare time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And it was funny because I didn't have the money. So I was living month. I was earning decent money, but kind of when you earn a wage, you're living month to month, aren't you, all the time? And that's what I was doing. So I didn't have like a big stash of money put to one side. So when I first set Concept up, it was our first job was a Ford garage in Wilmslow, which is a part of Cheshire, and the project was $4,000. So I've won it, and I'm thinking, well, I don't want to fund this. Just thought, well, see, I had nothing in the bank really.
Yeah.
I set it up with, I think it's £13 a company's house into it or something like that. So anyway, the client rings me and says, send me your invoice over before you start. I thought, brilliant.
Result.
So paid me $4,000 up front, did the job, and then bought some insurance after that because I didn't have no insurance. Then he gave us the same guy then give us a $40,000 job over in Wirral, where again he paid me 50% up front. So then at the end of the year, then there was a decent pot of money, and I priced a project for a client. Still do work for him now, and it was $350,000.
I imagine that was big.
Oh, it was massive for me then, that, yeah. So he rings me just before Christmas, it were, and he goes, so that job you've priced $350, you've won it. So my first thought was mint. My next thought was, how am I going to fund this? I was just like racking brains. He says, but I need a favour off you. So I was like, oh, go on, what's that? He went, it's our financial year end. Can you raise me an invoice? I said, how much for? He went 40%.
Result.
Yeah. And then he went, I need another favour off you. I said, what's that then? He went, well, I've got another $80,000 job. Even though you've not priced it yet. You trust him because I've done work for him for like years for other companies. He went, I need you to raise 50% of that as well. So before you knew it, I had like a decent sum of money. I thought, if I don't leave now and go on my own, like, and leave this company, I'm never going to do it.
So that was the point, was it?
Just went upstairs straight away, handed me notice in. Just did it there on the spot. I thought, if I don't do it, I'm not going to do it. So went upstairs, handed me notice in, that was me. Then I was gone about a week later.
And was it, so that work you were doing then, was that just general construction, or were you working in commercial? I know you said there it was a garage, but like, were you just
commercial.
kind of just commercial?
Yeah, commercial and industrial really. So the job that I was mentioning then, that was converting an old, they had two massive old cotton mills in North Manchester. And that was converting one of the floors from a storage area, which was all the barrel vaulted ceilings, the brick nice ceilings and all the rest of it, into like an office space, commercial space, if you will.
Yeah.
So it was brilliant.
And then, so how did the $350,000 job go?
Brilliant. Well, I said brilliant. It was a good job, but it was a disaster. Do you know why?
Why?
COVID hit halfway through.
Oh no! Yeah.
COVID hit.
Yeah.
But we could stand it and was quite comfortable because of the deposit payments had up front.
Yeah.
So it was just like, whatever.
So did the COVID hit halfway through? Or
halfway through.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah,
so how did you manage to get over the line? Because I assume
couldn't do anything. We just got suffocated. Because remember, I don't know what you was doing then, but I remember, or my recollection of that was, construction was a bit funny because they never really said
no,
it's a key worker or it isn't. So he was kind of like, well, can we work?
Going.
Do we not work? And then eventually they suffocated us because lack of material coming into the country.
Yeah.
So in the end, we was trying to work, but it was just a case of, well, we can't actually do anything because we can't get deliveries, can't get materials, job stops.
And also we there was a couple of projects that we were delaying because of the fact of you could get materials, but because they're so sought after, the prices were just driven up so high. Of
course.
And then we were like on potentially a fixed contract with a client, so we just delayed it, and then we just said, look, we can't carry it out. Otherwise, if our materials have doubled, like, we're not making any money. What's the point in doing that?
That's it. But not only that as well, the company was working for on that project as well. They were they made foam. So through COVID, they was making all mattresses for the NHS. So they actually said, we need to restrict visitors coming to site because we can't afford our workforce to be getting ill through COVID.
Oh, I see.
So they just banned us all as well from coming to site, yeah.
So that was the start of Concept. Was that 2020 or just before?
Sure, it was 2018.
Was it?
Yeah, 2018 I think it was.
Yeah. And
yeah, I think so. 18, 19, something like that it was, yeah.
So obviously you started off smaller and then it gained a bit of traction. And then so like, at what point did you start, employing people and start like growing into what you are now?
We got it's gradual. So, I think in the office now we've probably got 8 people. But again, it just adds, what I'll always do me is, if I think we're going to grow in that year, I'd rather get someone in before we grow, get embedded in, and then they can move when the company starts getting busy and the additional turnover, rather than reacting and you're too late and everyone's running around like headless chickens. So I'd rather try and do it that way, me. But yeah, so a lot of our work now is we still do the office stuff and industrial where we started really. But then in the last 3 years, we've gone more into sort of the experiential leisure, food and beverage and health clubs.
Is it a tough market to work in that, or?
Is it? I think it's all tough markets, aren't they?
True.
You know what I mean? You can do anything, can't you, sometimes? It's all the same, yeah. But I think the experiential leisure stuff and the retail stuff, I like the commercial stuff, but I like that more because I think you get the end product, there's more to it.
Is it more rewarding?
Makes sense. I'd say so, yeah. And not only that, some of the brands we work for are like unbelievable. So if you'd have come to me and said like 4 years ago, oh, you're going to be working like Hollywood Bowl or JD Gyms or Grosvenor Casinos or Monterey or Archie's, I'd have been like, nah, never. But we have and we do.
Yeah, and you do regularly, but I see your stuff on LinkedIn. You always work on the likes of that. How difficult have you found it? You said you were 8 or 9 strong in the office, but how difficult has it been like finding good people in our industry?
Nightmare.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare. I mean, I remember once I took a guy on as a contracts manager and he come recommended. And that's a problem, innit? You can meet someone and they can talk as good as they want. But then when they actually come to do it, you're like, oh my God. And got this guy, I thought, come across well in the interview, come recommended. I thought, he's worth taking a chance on. Got him in as a contracts manager. Told him the office hours. Told him I'd meet him at day 1, I think it was 7:30 in the office. It's till like 8:30, I'm thinking, where are you? And WhatsApped him, everything okay, just making sure you're still coming to the office. Yeah, I said, all right. And then he come in, I was like, oh, you're supposed to be here at 7:30. He went, yeah, it's my first day, so I thought I could come in later. And I'm like, well, if anything, it was my first day working for a new company, I'd be in earlier. Yeah. And then there's a couple other things that just happened, and he lasted about 3 days.
Did he?
Yeah. So we had some bad ones, but we've had some good ones as well, and we've lost them like through, sometimes people come to us and like, I've been offered this package.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that people get offered sometimes, as you know, you just have to say, look.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. If I was in your I've actually said a few times to people, if I was in your situation, I'd do exactly the same as what you're doing. So if anything it doesn't work out, just come back and see me again.
Yeah, we've got
it. If I like them.
we've had it a couple of times with a couple of guys as well, where they've been offered a lot more than what we could offer. We have it with people on site as well, like even the lads that work with us on site, because sometimes our work isn't necessarily all like local in terms of like 20 miles down the road. Sometimes it's a little bit further, and like they'll come to me and be like, look, I've been offered 250, 300 quid a day work on my doorstep, like looking at me, and I'm like, take it. Like if I was you, I'd be taking that 100%, because we can't offer that. No. If we could, we would, but we can't. So like I'd 100% take it. Majority of the time they end up staying because they didn't get offered it. They're just chancing their luck.
What a bit of a rise out here.
Yeah. We've mate. Well, since COVID, labour rates have just shot up anyway, and the expectation from people as well of what they want to earn. We have some guys on that are on sort of like all year round as well. Fantastic guys, but they just get a bit comfortable, and like their expectations kind of like get a bit too high. Well, I'm careful what I say here, but it can get a bit too high, really, mate. But they're great guys, and also we've got loads of guys on that are multi-skilled and like unbelievable what they do, and they're so hard to find. People who are multi-skilled. I had a phone call with somebody earlier actually today who was looking for work, who's worked with someone else in the fit-out industry for a number of years, multi-skilled, and they haven't got a lot of work on at the moment. He rang me up and just said, like, have you got any work? Told me who he'd worked for and what you can do, and I'm like, snapped his hand off. I'm like, 100%. Like,
turned up, yeah.
Well, that was today. he might have been lying. He might turn up. We had a, not that I very rarely would ever go to agency for labour. Like labourer, I would, but for actual labour, I really try and avoid it. Because we did a job in, it was Gosport, which is like a couple of hours from where we are. And it was a chippy who was like, he's worked for the recruitment labour agency, was like, he's worked for X, Y, and Z, carried out projects like this. This is the sort of stuff he's done. So I was like, brilliant. Bearing in mind he's a fully fledged carpenter, he turns up with a rucksack, right? No van or anything. He cycled in with a rucksack with a tape measure, a hammer, and a pencil. And I'm looking at him thinking like, what's your plan of attack for today then, mate? Like, how are you hanging these doors? And he's like, I've never hung doors before. And I'm like, what? I thought you were a carpenter. He goes, no, I kind of can do a little bit of everything. I'm looking at thinking, mate, I just... Off your pot, mate.
You know, the amount of times I was going to tell you that then, the amount of times I've had that where I've had a joiner ring me up and say, I've got this and that. And he turns up and what I was doing now is, any new joiner comes into us, I'll put him with one of our two old boys. Yeah. I've got two lads who are like, I say old boys, they're like mid-50s, early 60s, and they've been around the block. They've done, it's all they've done. So if I get a new guy, stick him with them, I'll ring them at dinner time, what they're like, and they'll either say, they'll just give me an honest opinion. Yeah, he's good. Yeah. Or, no, just get rid. Yeah. It's not worth it, just get rid of him. But I like, the two I'm talking about are brilliant, because I took my son on recently, and he's only 16. And it was funny because one of the older lads, he pulled me actually. He went, "Are you?" So I was like, "All right, what's up?" He said, "You're judging your billy by your standards." Because what he was doing was he started with us, and then some days he was only 16-year-old. He wasn't getting out of bed on time, and that type of thing, and it annoyed me. He went, "Think about it. What were you doing at 16?" He said, "You need to sort of tone it down a little bit." And I thought, he's got a point here. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I think sometimes the older people are definitely worth listening to. Oh, they're 100%.
Brilliant. They are brilliant. Like, I do the same as what you do. I ring the guys who are multi-skilled who've been around. One of the guys who works for us he's actually 64, and he knows everything about building. Like, he was a curb layer and bricky, and then he did ceilings and petitions for years, and then he did joinery, and then he's site man. He just knows everything, and he is exactly the same. If anyone knew, or even if anyone that's been around for like a year or two who hasn't worked with him before, as soon as they go to him, he'll ring us up. No good. Don't send him back. I wouldn't have him on if I was you. And like, he is the type of person
you can trust him as well.
You just know, and like, there's no point in knowing anything that he doesn't know, because he literally knows everything about it, like everything as well. How did you find then employing your boy, and how was that? Because like, there's a certain stigma around family businesses and people coming into like their parents or family's businesses, and you kind of get treated a bit harsher, I'd say, as the younger one. So how have you found it working with your boy in the business?
Like I said, it started off first couple of weeks, I was like, oh, it's doing me head in, because he weren't doing things that I'd expect. And then when, like I said, when Alan had a word with me, who's one of our senior joiners, I kind of laid off him a little bit, and that had a reaction where, because I kind of laid off him and didn't expect anything from him, he kind of just did it himself then, if that makes sense. He thought, well, my dad's not on me back anymore, I'll just do it. So it's like this morning, he's got up at 5:30, was out the door for 6, got a train from where we live to Liverpool, which is an hour and a half, and I'll do the same coming on back as well. So he's done. Like I say, he's actually quite surprised me a little bit, because I thought he was a bit of an empty head, if that makes, just a bit of a lad's lad, if that makes sense. So he surprised me, how well he's doing at the minute. But then I've actually there's 3 family members who work for us. So my brother's one of our site managers, and then my dad works in the office as well, part-time as a buyer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And how's that?
Yeah, fine. I mean, my dad's never done construction in his life up until probably 2 years ago, when he come working for us. Before that, he'd been MDs of companies and that type. Never owned a company, but he'd been like managing director or sales director or marketing manager, that type of thing. So he's coming to us, but I've got a guy who's high level experience up here in different sort of sectors, and then he's doing the buying for me. So it's brilliant. You don't have to tell him anything, he'll just do it. He knows that when he wants it, he knows what he needs it for price wise. So yeah, it's great having him on board.
Result. How have you found the industry as a whole? So like, obviously you've been, how old are you now?
41.
So what, you've been working 20 odd years?
23.
Roughly? How have you found it's changed?
Sounds scary, that's
23 years industry. Is that long?
I don't know, 23 years doing something.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You had an epiphany there, didn't you?
That's it, yeah.
You had a bit of a moment. How have you found it's changed, and do you think it's changed for the good or for the bad? Because I'm sure projects back when you were sort of like starting out contracting in your contract manager days, 25 or wherever it was, 15 years ago, I bet it was a lot different to what it is now. So how have you found it's changed, and do you prefer it now compared to what it was before?
It's a tough one, that. There's been a lot of changes. So like, I remember I used to get a tender pack. So you used to get full M&E design. If there was structural works, you got full structural engineer design, architects, and anything else that went with it. And a bill of quants. That was it. That's what I was thinking of, a bill of quants. Now, you're lucky if you're getting stage 2 or 3 designs. Bill of quants you might see once a year. We've actually got a bill of quants every day, and I couldn't believe it. Bill of quants. Structural engineers, any structural works are always contractor design. And the M&E stuff as well. A lot of the time you're seeing tenders come in, there's a lot of contractor design. And I get that it's supposed to speed it up from A to B, i.e. from the starting point of the project to the end of the project. And when I say starting point, I mean when it's just in design stages, to get it over the line as quickly as possible. But I do think it puts a lot of onus on us.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time as well, on the design side of it, for example, if it's about M&E design, you might not get a massive amount for the design fees either, because it's got to be as low as possible because it's part of the overall tender.
Yeah.
So that does irk me a little bit, that I think that the standard of stuff you're getting sent has gone massively backwards.
Oh, has it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes I find you've just got to kind of figure it out for yourself. When you get something through, you're almost looking at it thinking like, it should really be, like black and white at what I'm pricing, but you're kind of looking around thinking, I don't know if I'm pricing this, there's not enough information. You kind of making assumptions a little bit, and then you've got to clarify at the end what assumption you've made, or contingencies or PC sums. And
that's it. And I think what they're trying to do as well, people, to save money, is they're trying to amalgamate roles. So I'll give you an example here. So about a month ago, I won't name names, but we got sent a tender through from a design company. And then we sent our tenders back. And we went in, we wanted to win it. So we didn't win super cheap, but we went in competitive to win it. And I got the feedback. I think it was only a 250 grand job or something. And we were like 70 grand out. And I'm thinking, there's no way I'm 70 grand out. I actually looked at the job. I went to see the job myself. There's no way we are 70 grand out. Yeah. So I rang him. I said, look, the feedback you've given me doesn't sit right, because one, we've not got the margin on that. So I can only assume that we've priced something that we shouldn't have done.
Yep.
Or the other 2 contractors haven't priced enough. So she actually said at the time, the girl, she went, I'll send you the other 2 quotes over. So it took us about 10 minutes to see what the difference was.
Yeah.
Went back to her and said, look, that's that. We're actually cheaper by 10 grand. So I sent
with a smirk on your face.
Well, at the time I did, yeah. So I pinged it back over, and then rang her back a few days later. It might have been a week later, just seeing what the job's up to. Oh, you lost it. And I'm thinking, I just thought, I can't. So, and I think what was the point I'm trying to make there is that because you've got a designer who's not a trained QS as such, or they're not skilled to evaluate tenders, but then they're being left to do that, it kind of just thinking, well, I'm wasting my time pricing projects for you, so I probably wouldn't price projects for that particular client anymore anywhere now, just because of that. I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of resource tendering projects as well. Even if it's only a couple of $100 grand, it still takes a lot of resources.
And missed opportunity for something else it could have been doing.
That, yeah, true. How about the actual running of project side of things? Like, how do you think that's changed? Like the lads on site and how projects go, how they're delivered. Has that changed? The reason why I ask is just because I'm 30, but I've been working in construction since I was about 15, 16, but realistically in like proper contracting for about 8 years probably. So I've only really known it what it's like now as such. Never really worked in it what it was like obviously 20, 30 years ago. So what's the differences to what it was like then compared to now?
I think, I'm going to get absolutely slaughtered for this, but I'll say it anyway. I do think 15, 20 years ago, site managers, and this is not a generalisation of the site manager now because some brilliant ones out there, but I think there was a bigger pool of good site managers than what there are now. So, we've tried every different angle. We've tried recruiting them, we've tried ones from the agency, and I've actually found that the site managers that are right for us, we could kind of sort of promote from within. So we've got two of our site managers now have come from within, i.e. we've promoted them up to being site manager.
Okay.
And they're doing then things I want them to do to a certain standard, if that makes sense.
It's always a risk, isn't it, getting someone for a site manager from an agency or...
Well, you get them sometimes, and they come with these massive fees, and they want like between £350 and £400, and you're like, they turn up, and they're literally a glorified key holder. And that's, we got one, honestly, we've had them in the last 12 months, they turn up, and you're like, what am I even paying for?
Yeah. Glorified key holder.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, fair play.
Open up and close it in the day, and that's their job.
How do you, so, you know, when you carry out projects, and this is kind of off on a tangent, but when you're doing JD gyms and Hollywood Bowls, and so you're working around the country, like, how do you find resourcing trustworthy labour in regions that you're not necessarily from? So say, like, for instance, you're carrying out a job in Devon. I know you said you lost maybe the one in Devon, but if you did one in Devon, but like, how do you get labour in Devon? Do you rely on, do you take you guys with you? Do you, how do
take them with us?
Yeah. So
and that's sort of subcontractors as well, that. So if for example, it was, say, we was doing for a client we did a lot of work for, I want my usual team on it because they know it works. They know for example, how everything's going to go together. They know the spec. They know what's expected of the client. Yeah. They know the client to talk to as well when they come on site. So what I don't want to do is introduce 4 or 5 new trades who I've never worked with before, or different companies I've never worked with before. And then you're like, because that's a risk in itself, isn't it?
Definitely.
So I'd like to try and, there might be a smaller trade. Say there's like a bit of something that he's doing. Yeah. I might get someone local for that, or I might get a local labourer to keep the on top of the job.
Or like cleaners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cleaners are another one we might go local on, but any trade that can massively affect the programme, for example, electricians or boarders or mechanical lads. Now I'm using my own.
Yeah. And how do you find, by no means you have to go into details, but do you find you're competitive bringing teams down with you, because that comes with a greater overhead as such when you're taking people around the country?
I think there's 2 factors on that. So it depends. Generally, my experience in working in London or Edinburgh says that a lot of the time we can be as competitive in them areas, sending lads down, paying them inflated rate and paying digs.
Yeah.
But then I think what the other factor is as well is, say, for example, we're doing a project, say it was for Hollywood Bowl, and it was in Glasgow, for example. Well, if they're going to 3 contractors who are all based outside of Scotland, well, we're all on a level playing field because we've all got to get up there. We've all got to pay for the digs. We've all got to play, unless they want to try and use sort of local contractors that they've never used before. But that's a risk, and like I said, I'd rather lose a job than take a risk on the quality, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because your name's everything, innit? Rather than the opposite, yeah.
So this is just because I want to, it'd be nice to have a bit of an insight on how those projects go. So like, how does a typical, like, say, JD Gym or Hollywood Bowl project go? Because I imagine you've got tight timelines, I imagine maybe budgets to hit, and obviously do you have liquidate damages at the end as well, because they've got to open on a set day? So like, there's probably a lot of resource that goes into delivering one of them. So like, how do those projects look in terms of like delivery as well?
I make sure that we have we have internal project meetings once a week. So I like to see where the project is up to. But not only that as well, even though we've got contracts managers and quantity surveyors who go out to site all the time, I visit every job once a week because I want to know where it's up to.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can ring a site manager on site and they might not give you the full picture. So I like to go and to see what's going on, just to make sure that we're on track. And if not, then I'm not going to start like screaming and shouting. It's a case of, right, what can we do now? We've lost a few days here. We need to do this, and this to turn it back around by end of next week. So it's just putting things in place just to make sure that we do deliver on time. Because we have like 3 sort of key values. One of them's to make it as pain-free as possible for the client. In other words, the client doesn't want to go through a load of mither to get a job finished. They just basically want to give you keys at start and get them back off at the end, and it's done. They want to pay a fair price and they want a good job. If you master them 3 things, I think you're better than 90% of the people out there.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's
basic.
It's interesting when you put it like that as well, because that is pretty much all they're after, really. Fair price, good delivery, and no hassle.
So I see like some contractors, and they'll spend like thousands and thousands doing pitches, and I just think, well, I'm not even going to entertain that because it's not what we're about. If you want a good job doing, we'll do a good job for you. But if you want me to put a 30 grand thing, I'm not a marketing company, so I'm not going to do that.
Interesting.
I'll go and sit in front of anybody and talk about how we're going to deliver it and all the rest of it, but I'm not going to put like a 30 grand pitch together nowhere.
So I find that mental as well, by the way. Like I spoke to, I won't name names, but I spoke to somebody from a company who I potentially was going to come on the podcast, but didn't in the end.
All right.
And they said that they spend up and beyond that as well for pitches, like 50, 60 grand sometimes. And I'm like, so what happens at the end? They're like, I just lose it and then we should move on to the next one. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I know obviously they're a larger company and they'll probably cover it with overhead and whatever, but I just think that's mental.
Yeah, but if you imagine if you're doing like 1 in 3 or 1 in 4.
Yeah, the amount of money you're losing.
That's it. You lost 180 before you win one.
Yeah. That's actually
That's it. Yes, it's just not. But I suppose we're not probably in that. I'm not in that sector as well, where it needs to have that level of pitch, if you will.
Yeah, no wonder there was brown envelopes flying around everywhere at some point. If people are spending that much money, they want to, I'm not suggesting anyone does this, but
that's it. Well, yeah, we don't.
But no. But like, I imagine speaking to people on the podcast back in the day, like 20, 30, 40, maybe 40 years ago. I think those things probably happened because they wanted a bit more assurance that they were going to win a job rather than having to put all that resource into losing it. So what's the plans for Concept going forward? So you're quite early on still. What was it, 2018?
Yeah, so we're 7 years in now.
So you're quite new still.
Yeah, 7 years in we are. Feels like I've done it for years though.
Yeah.
It does. It feels like I've had it for ages now. It's just become a thing, hasn't it, and just part of my life.
Yeah.
So what's the plans for Concept? Obviously I don't want to have a massive rapid growth. I'd rather just do it sort of organically and get in with a client like we were talking before. If you can get in with a client that's got potential 4 or 5 projects for you per year and you're delivering a good job for them, well, that's a good way to grow for me, that rather than chasing every single tender out there. Find someone who can sort of give you 3, 4, 5 projects a year, get a few of them and you'll grow. Just do a good job from you and the work will follow. Organic growth, nothing too rapid. And just keep doing what we're doing, really.
So no lofty goals for I want to be this big or I want to be like that, or
no.
It's nice to hear, to be fair, because the amount of people that are just like, I want to be we were saying, I don't know if it was early on camera, off camera, but I want to be £100 million company. I want this, I want that, and then
no.
Yeah, no.
You know why I say no as well? Because I look at companies' accounts, sadly.
Yeah.
And you see some of these companies, and they'll get to like 100 million, and they got like 2% net, and I'm like, you've gone through all that mither for that. I'd rather not. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather just not do that. I'd rather keep doing what we're doing, get to a certain level, and try and top it out at that. And I spoke to a construction owner over there, and he'd gone from, I think he'd increased his turnover by 2 million in the space for a year. And I think he said off the back of it, he netted 20 grand. Now, would you want to do 2 million quid worth of work?
No.
For 20 grand net?
No.
And all the mither that comes with it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And also, it's not that as well. It's like the amount of, like you said there, the aggro into it.
That's
but
it.
Also, like, what have you missed out on without doing all that? So you put all of your effort into that 20 grand. Like, what have you missed out on? Because if you just stayed where you were and focused on what you were doing, you might have missed out on, I don't know, a client relationship that could have gone a bit further. And you've just, you've just completely. I've got a similar example of a M&E contractor who's local-ish around here, and I've used him a couple of times. So I know the guy that owns it relatively well, and he said exactly the same. But they grew. I think they were about maybe like £4 or £5 million, and they grew about 1.5 million in the space of a year. And they actually lost. They didn't make any more money. They actually made less money, £1.5 million later than what they were before.
I've seen that so many times.
And then he did say to me, to be fair, what he did was he thought getting within the tier ones and carrying out packages with, that's exactly the look I made. That's the look I made when I heard it. But he thought that would be the route that they could scale quickly.
You can do, can't you?
You can.
You can scale quickly, but you can also go bump quickly as well.
Yeah, it's risky.
What I find with them is, in the limited experience I had with tier ones, was you get screwed at the start to win the job.
Yeah.
They'd always put your variations on account.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they always want to do a deal.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, what have we actually done on this?
You get screwed the whole way through.
Exactly, yeah.
And then on the promise that the next one...
Oh, we'll give it next job. No, thanks. I'm all right. I've had enough.
Do you like working in construction?
You know what? I mix with a lot of other business owners in different sectors. And what I generally find is, I think you can be quite cocooned in your own industry and think, oh, this is only applicable to construction, i.e. that we mentioned about I joined before that you are do, cut your anger door and turn up with the wrong kit.
Yeah.
I mentioned people on the first day didn't turn up until an hour and a half later, whatever it was. But then I'm speaking to the business owners who employ, like, say, 200-300 people. They have the same shit.
Yeah.
They have completely the same shit. So construction is all I know. It's all I've done since I was 18-year-old. So, you know, I do like it. And I like seeing a drawing at the start of a job or a space, and then we transform it into what it is. So, yeah, I do enjoy it. It's just a bit painful sometimes, as you know.
Comes with its hassle, doesn't it?
Oh, of course it does, yeah.
But 100%. Like you said, I'm sure. So is that mixed? You said you mix with the business owners, or is that in a community group, or is that a...
Yeah, so there's a group that I go to once a month, and it's a leadership... My class is a leadership development group, but you've got all different types of owners or leaders from different sectors in there.
Yeah.
So some will be like recruitment companies who have done do quite big numbers. You'll have accountants, you'll have professional sports people in there or ex-professional sports people. You've got experiential leisure providers, people on lawyer practices or law companies. There's all sorts of different things, and it's good because sometimes you can come in with a problem into that group. Remember once I walked in and I got talking to a guy called Tim who did logistics and storage. And he's like, what's up with you? And I've said, I've got this problem, blah, 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 blah. And he just went, told me. And I thought, literally in 30 seconds, it gave me a solution to it. And that's just because you're mixing with different people all the time and different owners, and they might have experienced it, especially if someone's older than you as well. You know, some older people have forgotten more than you know. Yeah. So I love mixing them different people. Definitely.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was. I think it was the guest that came on before today. I was saying to him that I'm kind of like yearning to be part of like a community of people, even if it's whether it's just within construction or whatever it is. It's just younger people in an industry where we can like bounce ideas and just have a chat and just have a bit of a chinwag. That's why I said to you earlier, I'm so grateful I met Ollie. I know it's through the podcast now, but like it's so nice to have somebody similar-ish age and we ring up and chat about general stuff really about the industry, have a bit of a whinge, have a bit of a this is a bit of a problem, and not many people specifically in our industry that I can kind of do that with. So it's not, I'm yearning for like a community group of people or something like similar to maybe what you've got with other 100%. Business people, but like someone you can just like, not even necessarily because like you want to drive growth of the business or like you just want to be part of a community of people who have the similar issues to you and you can just go and have a chat. Really.
You know, when I first walked in this group, because I've been part of it now probably 3.5-4 years.
Yeah.
And I first walked in and my perception of everyone in that group was everyone's got their shit together. Everyone's got a perfect business.
Yeah.
But when you actually get into it and you get to know people more and more, you're all just going through. And if you're doing 500 million or 5 million, you're all going through the same shit.
Yeah.
And you've all got the same issues, no matter if it's in what sector it's in. You've all got it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that group of people, though, they've all of them become like friends now. So I think it was about 11, 12 of us went to Ibiza in June time.
Yeah.
And then a few of us went to a bit of a road trip to Marbella in August. So it's kind of mixing with different people than your normal friends as well.
Yeah.
You know, I had a social side of it. So I like it. It's brilliant.
It's interesting you say that about no matter what business they're in, industry they're in, turnover they're in, they're still experiencing the same relatable things. I know they're different because like different industries, but it's all the same.
Of course it is. So you think of it like if you've got one of the guys in it, won't name names or his business or anything, but he might have like an experiential leisure type company and they're employing people sort of on the shop floor, if you will, which you could say the same as labourers. Do they turn up every day?
Yeah.
Probably not. You know, the youngest type people still finding the feet or they're using it as a stepping stone to do something else. So everyone's got same issue. Everyone's got HR. Well, we haven't at the minute, but people have HR issues. They have accountancy problems or whatever else it might be.
It's just funny. Like you said there, you nailed it. You just assume they've got all their shit together.
No, they haven't. No one has. I tell you that, no one
We're all
has.
just winging it.
Well, we are a little bit, aren't we? Because, like, you know, there's not a manual. Well, there probably is a manual, but what I mean is when you run a business, you've not done it before. So you can learn off as many people you want. You can read as many books, but until an incident actually happens or a scenario comes up, you got to deal with it. And sometimes what like books or things won't tell you is there's an emotional side to it sometimes, or a cost implication of a decision that's got to be made, or something further down the line that could impact something else.
It's like our industry specifically as well, because it can be very reactive, you know,
Yes.
like real issues on the spot. Like we were speaking earlier about, for instance, like maybe a delivery isn't come because old bloody Travis Perkins lied and said the van's not
Yeah,
coming.
it's
But
not, yeah.
delivery not coming, that's a major issue, because the program and like there's got to be, those boards have got to be fitted today, but they haven't turned up, and then you've got to be really reactive, isn't you? So you really got to think on the spot.
Yeah. Well, I must admit, the last company I worked for, whilst I'd just set up, again, I won't name names, but the guy who run that on the sort of operations side, I learned more off him in 12 months than I did probably my previous 5 years. His planning was absolutely like meticulous, and the way he did things. So my planning just went up a level.
Did it?
Just, if we learn off him, definitely. So I try and instill that into our jobs now. Like, don't just look at what's in front of you. Look at the next 2 follow-on trades in front to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing, when they need to be on site, what gear they need, what access they're going to need, and what conditions they've got, and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
so just try and plan it as best you can.
Delivery it's really difficult in our industry to, like you said, even like you could have literally the best plans, but and then one little domino gets flicked over, and then you're like, oh,
it does, but then the thing
replan
is,
the next couple of weeks, not necessarily the whole job, but you're thinking, I've got to replan the next couple of weeks now because this has happened or that's happened.
But it's very rare that a problem comes up that you've not experienced 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times before. So you know the solution and you know the workaround to it. Yeah. And I think with problems when they crop up, it's a case of reacting to it and putting a plan in place as soon as you can. Otherwise, every day that you don't, you've lost them days, you can't get them back.
Kicking the can down the road, isn't you?
Well, that's it. Not only that, when you've got a critical path to work to in your program as well, them days, you've lost them. So,
what's your plans for just yourself then? Obviously, you've given us the plans for concept, and what about yourself? What's your plans for yourself? You got anything?
What, on a personal basis?
Yeah, just like what?
So,
because you're still young businessman, 41?
41,
yeah, so still young. So like, yeah, what's your plans for yourself going forward? You're going to give me the old typical want to be sitting on a beach in 20 years' time?
No, 5. Want to get out of construction? No.
But what I find with a lot of people, you know, if I ask the questions, not many people who run their own business who love the business side of it and growing a company, they never really want to retire. The more I ask people, it's more like they want to diversify and do something a little bit different. And then because I feel like a couple of people that, you know, are close to me who have retired, they're kind of like, I don't want to say it horribly, but like the brain kind of like rots out as such a little bit when you get older, and if you're not staying on it or staying busy, then you know whatever could happen. So like it's just interesting to hear what different people say about it.
I think I've already started to diversify into other businesses as well. So I think we've probably got 3 or 4 now, and that might grow. That might, you know, them companies definitely will grow. Sorry, but then what I mean is the number of companies might grow. Started getting a bit involved in property as well, but that in itself is, you know, when you say construction is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, property is a nightmare as well.
What sort of stuff do you do in property?
Did some residential stuff.
Yeah.
Commercial as well. Commercial is probably better than the residential stuff. It's just, you're dealing with people all the time. So it's very similar to construction, the headaches you go through and all the rest of it. So I've done that.
Is that just to build up a bit of a rental portfolio?
Kind of.
And then the businesses that you said you've got not new, but other businesses, are they in construction as well?
Yeah. So I might try and grow a sort of group of companies in that field. But I think what the hardest part for me is I am ready to do another one, another company, but what I need is an MD to come in and run it. And I'm struggling to find someone that I know and trust to actually run a company as such.
Yeah.
So that's been my biggest stumbling block at the minute.
Okay.
I'll find somebody, but it's just a matter of, I'd rather wait 12, 18 months and have the right person rather than start it with somebody and it's a complete and utter disaster.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
And a car crash. So yeah, I think that'll be it. But I'll always, I can't see myself switching off. Like, you know, say for example, someone come in and said, "Oh, can I buy your business or whatever?" Or you wanted to retire and you sold it to the people that work there now, whatever. I don't think I could do that, me, and have a switch off. It's like, I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
As much crap you go through, I do enjoy it. It's like when I'm on holiday, I love taking phone calls all day and answering emails and still being involved.
Yeah.
So I think I'll always be,
Always be active.
Yeah, I'll always been around it for me sins. How about yourself?
mate, I'm 30, so I'm miles off that. But I do love it as well. You know, like I sometimes come on here and have a bit of a whinge about the industry, but I love dealing with different people. I love meeting different people. Like, you know, I love driving relationships with different people. I just enjoy the hustle and bustle of construction. I love that there's always something to do. Someone I recorded with recently who said he'd grown his business to, I think he was just a mechanical contractor, and he'd grown his business to a reasonable size. And he said there were so many lows that he had. But he said, but the thing is, like, it's just always something to do. So there's no dwelling because there's always something to do. There's always someone ringing, want this, want that. Yep. There's this, there's that. And it suits my personality that there's always something to do on the go 24/7. Like, I couldn't be one of those that just, you know, has a couple of tasks to do in a day and then you've done it and then you're kind of like, well, what do I do now? I love the fact the phone's ringing all the time and like, someone wants this, one of the lads want that, got to sort that out, got to go meet that client, got to do this. I just love the hustle and bustle.
It's relentless.
Yeah, but
it's absolutely relentless, isn't it, at times?
It is relentless. Like, you know, you're taking phone calls from 7 a.m. all the way through to sometimes 7 p.m. depending on what projects you got on and what clients you got. But I love it. I do.
And I think as well what I've learned to do recently, which I've never really done before, is take the wins when they come.
Okay.
Because, you know, you might not win a project for 2 months because you've got enough on as it is, and then you're dealing with all the crap of the day-to-day side of things. And then you might, like last week, we won a job and got told we're getting instructed another 2. And I thought, you should be celebrating these now, really, because the good moments and then all the level of shit you go through. Yeah. And then they're the positives.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate them.
Enjoy the wins.
I don't
do that really, to be fair, thinking about it. No,
it's a recent thing.
Yeah. Thinking, I never do that. You just think, another job secured, right, how am I going to do it?
That's it. Got to deliver this one as well now.
There's no like, oh, well done, lads. That's like, we've all pitched in together. It's like, oh, well done, how are we going to do it then?
That's it. That's what it's like, isn't it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I spoke with, it's the same person, but he said the similar sort of thing. He goes that he won one of his biggest jobs. And I said to him, well, how did it feel? And he went, well, I just felt like, how am I going to do this? It's the first thing he said.
Well, when I worked for that company for 10 years, we used to win a project.
Yeah.
And because it was all competitive tender, you used to sit there sometimes and think, oh shit, what have we messed up to win this project, you know, in terms of the price?
Yeah.
And that was sort of the attitude on it, because we were cheapest, but yeah.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the pod, man. I've enjoyed, it's been a right laugh, to be honest with you. I've enjoyed like listening to, I've followed your journey a little bit on LinkedIn anyway, so I look at your posts and see what you guys are up to. It looks, doing some great work, mate. So it was nice to get to know you behind the camera, such.
Super.
Thanks so much for your time, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.